But I had been fighting with the computer, and I finally said a prayer, and I said, Lord, you need to put your hands on the screaming so that we can get your message out on. And so what? Seamstress 2021 Blessing Challenge. NSF. No senior forgotten. And yes, I have the instructions for everyone right here. You got to have a pen and a paper, but then you don't have to have a pen and a paper because you can always put in the comments NSF now, exclamation point, and I will get those to you. I'll contact you. You tell me how you want to receive them, either by email or by regular mail. Doesn't make a difference. What the difference is, and what's going to make a difference, is how you all are going to help me reach all of those senior citizens out there that feel like nobody remembers they exist anymore. How would you feel if you got to be in a nursing home and you didn't get any visitors on your birthday, Christmas, Easter? Nobody. They might pick up the phone once in a while, but it's not the same as having that person right there in front of you. Would you agree with me on that one? I feel really good. And it's so funny because I had do not download Manicam. Oh my goodness, it didn't work. Twice it messed up on me, and this is the third try, and that's when God stepped in. So, okay, NSF, no senior forgotten. I believe that I had, and of course, the sample isn't right here because I've been fussing with the internet. I'm trying to see. There it is. Okay, now this is a miniature version of the NSF, no senior forgotten lap quilt. It has the Lord's Cross right in the middle. And as I've said before, this portion here, if you have an embroidery machine and you want to do your own thing there, by all means do it. Whatever you want in that center, you go ahead and do it. If you want to make these for your own area where you live, go for it. This is just I'm challenging everyone to put more love out there than there is hate, than there is anger, than there is discourse. It's just so frustrating at this day and age that we have actually gone backwards. What I see is we've gone backwards. The things I see happening now happened back in the 60s, and there's no reason for it. Absolutely no reason for it. We were fine for a long time, and then the devil stepped in, and he's doing his dance, and some people are dancing with him. I'm not dancing with him. I'm going to fight him, okay? This is how we're fighting him. These are all, at least the ones that I have started. In that center box is going to be a scripture verse. John 3:16, Psalm 23, Luke 18:1-8. And that's the one I had in my head when this mess was happening on the internet. So, yeah, that comment doesn't apply anymore because we are actually doing, that's my last comment I put in there, but it's just to make sure I was here. So this is the instructions. You will need 6 strips of a light colored fabric, a medium colored fabric. It can be a print. You can make it all solid if you want. Some people like the geometric kind of thing, not make it all solid. These are my old glasses. It's kind of hard to see a little bit. And then a dark, light, medium, dark. And this particular example, the light is the yellow. The medium is this multicolor with the green and yellow. And then dark is the purple. When you do your NSF lap quilt, you start with the cross portion first. You lay that out, and I'm going to show you, I'll actually tell you a little trick how to do it and not be kind of stressed about it. And you're going to remember this little tip anyway. So you lay your cross pieces out, and then the others, that's how you figure the pattern. But I took the time. Yes, I did. I took the time and a ruler and a dry erase marker, and I drew it all out. How about that? Now, granted, the little boxes aren't all the same size or the size they're supposed to be, but it's just a diagram. It's not the actual thing. These were done with 1-inch strips. And this, if you do a 1-inch strips, is perfect for Bible cover, for book cover, Bible book cover. You just figure out how to size it, shape it, make a pattern out of it. You guys are crafty, you can do that. But anyway, your NSF. Now, hopefully, I may have to like back up a little bit so you can see the actual design. There you go. What? As far as the instructions for this, you need. This is the large size. I originally thought that this was I would have 3. I call these motifs. I don't know if it's the right word or not because I'm not new to sewing. I'm new to quilting terms. I know a few of them. I know stitch in a ditch, but I thought that 3 of these would suffice. Until I started using mathematics. Every square is going to end up being 6 inches instead of 5 or 4. Now, if you want to make them 5 or 4, you just, instead of 2.5-inch strips, make 2-inch strips. And then you will end up with where you could probably get away with. I'm going to try one and see. I'm going to do 2-inch strips, which ends up being 1.5. And 3 times 1.5 is 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So that's actually going to be a smaller size, and that may be the one that I was thinking of originally. But this way, if you want to make one lap quilt yourself, you can with this instructions for the large. So I have a large, I have a regular. I guess you call it a regular. I could call it the Calvary style. I don't know. So you're going to have 30 6-inch squares is what you're going to end up with. One of those is the center of the cross. Let me hold this up. And that one is a solid. That's the one that gets embroidery on it. You can leave it plain if you like. I just think if you can personalize it, it makes the person that's receiving it smell so much bigger. So anyhow, you're going to have 3 different color strips, and they are 2.5 inches wide by 44 inches long. If you've ever bought cotton fabric in the fabric department, your fabric for the calico prints, they call it, in the little tiny, designs on it, poly cotton. It's 44, 45 inches wide. So if you have, say this is your bolt, this is your 44, 45 inches wide. So you can cut your 2.5 strips this way, just right across it, and just go down. And you only need 6 of those. Now I said 6, you're going to have some extra. And the extra is so for the solid center one, you want to be able to have at least that 6.5 inches, for the center square. So 3 different color strips, 2.5 inches by 44 inches long. 6 strips of each in the light print, dark print, and medium color print. A 6.5-inch square, 1 for the center. Okay. And you're going to make the cross design first. So you'll do all of your, excuse me. Got so excited when I finally got on the air. You're going to do all of the ones that frame out the cross here. So the dark, light, dark pieces, there are 5. There's 5 dark, light, darks. And I have that cheat sheet here. Okay. This is for your next part of your instructions, so you get it. Of the 30 pieces, when you finish this, it ends up being around 23 inches by 33 inches, and that's without the binding around the edge. And when I get to that part of the one that I'm making, we'll go over binding. Binding is what you put around the edge when you place the backing on it once you put the batting inside. If I'm talking about stuff that for you beginners sounds kind of Greek, don't worry, it's easy. This is actually a perfect challenge and project for someone who's a beginner. It's all straight lines, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle that doesn't have the little knobs that you have to figure out where to go. You just have to match up colors. So 13 strips of that 30 are going to be in the order of medium print, light, and dark. The light color material is always going to be the center of the cross, the part that when you pick it up, you're like, oh, that's a cross. You see it right away because it's one solid thing. Now, there are some almost solid prints, like they have little like pin dots, like little polka dots on it that you could use. But then what you'd want to do if you're going to embroider the center, put a solid shade of whatever that is. Like I have a light blue with these little tiny blue polka dots in it. Now I could do a light blue center, which I probably would stay with the predominant color, but which it would be the light part, not the dark blue and the dots. And then do it that way. Then you're going to have or need 11 3-strip squares that are light, medium, dark in that order. So you have 13 medium, light, dark, and 11 light, medium, dark. And that's why I wrote it on here. So I think you guys can do like I do on my computer here is play the video and do a screenshot or a capture. And that way you'll have it. You won't have to write it down. That's the best way I know to do it. Don't get writer's cramp. But then the 5 remaining ones are the dark, light, dark. That's the cross part in the center. And the 1 6-inch square, you want that of the light color, and that's for the cross's center. I have done them where if you want the cross to be a dark color, you can make the dark color as the cross, and then when you embroider it, you put something really bright to pop. I'll do a sample of that before this is all done with, and I just hope it goes on forever and ever, don't you? I mean, can you imagine just making all these senior citizens just so happy because now they have something to keep them warm with, and it came from a total stranger who didn't know him from Adam, and it's so sweet. That's what they're gonna say. Oh, you're so sweet. That's what they say in nursing homes, by the way. Yeah, I worked in one. That's why this is kind of like something I'm very passionate about. So, and the way you can remember the pattern, other than copying this, me sending it to you, and I'll do it. I'm going to do it with colored pencils, okay? I'm a glut. It'll be like white, gray, and black. Okay, so you can light, medium, dark. Colored pencils would take me forever, but charcoal pencils, not so much. And just do light, dark, medium. Okay. Once you construct your cross, what you're going to do, you're going to lay that wrong side to the glue side of fusible interfacing. And that's what I've put on the back of this. And then you place the pattern in the manner of, I don't know if you can really tell, but it looks like sideways U's. So where you have the one side bar of the cross, that dark has a dark that cuts it off. Same thing on the top. The dark cuts it off. So you know that's going to be dark. It could be dark, light, medium, or dark, medium, light. I chose to do dark, medium, light. If you do switch out these 2 patterns of the 3 patterns on this, make sure that you make 2 more. So to make sure you don't short yourself on pieces for the design, that you make 2 more. So do 15 and 13 and 15 instead of 13 and 11 or 15 and 13. I should have said that the other way because I went 13, 11 and then 5. So it would be 15, 13 and 5. It's always 5 for the cross. That doesn't change. Okay. Now, to get involved, you don't have to make one of these, a whole one. No. If you have leftover scraps of fabric, you just want to get rid of it and have it go to a worthy cause, you can send it to me. In the comments, say, got fabric. And I'll get in touch with you and we'll find out how to make that work. Some people get a little intimidated by, Some people think this is a really fancy design. It's not. It's geometric. It's just all rectangles. If you just want to make one 3-strip square, go for it. If you want to make a whole one of these, but you don't know how to bind it off and you want someone to do that for you, I can do that for you. Make sure that happens. Another thing, if you have a specific entity, nursing home, adult care, or whatever, that, let's say you have a family relative that's out of state and they're in adult care, and you want them to have one of these so bad, but you can't travel to them, okay? And I have family that's over 800 miles away. My parents are way, way, way far away. They're over 800 miles away. And so if you want this personalized, you want to say, love you, Mom. Or, cause in a 6-inch square, and this what ends up being the size, minus a 1/4 inch around. This will be 6 inches once the other seams from sewing the pieces together is. There is plenty enough room to put something like that. My embroidery machine that I use to do this, it makes a 1/2 inch size letter, which is the small, a 1 inch, and then a 1.5 inch. But the new embroidery machine that I just upgraded to, the PE 800, and I love this thing, I can make them as big as I want, up to 3.5 inches sometimes. Haven't gone to 4 inches yet, but I have a feeling I can do it. I just have to put the right size hoop on it. So this is the first one. This is the sample one that I'm going to walk you guys through in making it. So once you have laid out your cross on the fusible interfacing, you've laid out the whole pattern, you've got it on there, press it in place. And you're like going, then how do I seam it? How do I stitch those things together? You don't have to. You can, but you don't have to. So this is where the easy part comes in, and this is where I give you my little sneaky tips and tricks. I get those 2 words kind of screwed up. But if you don't want to seam it, then that means it's going to be a little bigger, because your typical seam is a 1/4 inch. And what you would do is do your vertical ones, because remember, these are going to be just glued on there. You do a vertical 4/4 of an inch seam. You go to the next block, do the same thing, go all the way down. You're going to go across, and you're going to do that 4 times. 1, 2, yeah. Then to do the horizontal seams, you fold it down, right sides together, do your seam across, and then do that all the way down. That helps to keep all of the seams as they're sewn going in the same direction. The vertical ones will be in the same direction, and the horizontal ones will be in the same direction. And this one doesn't have them like that. I'm sorry, it was my first one. And yeah. I would do a vertical one and a horizontal, and it's all over the place. But it doesn't hurt it, because it's going to have the batting inside. It's going to get quilted. And the excellent thing about this is people worry about the quilting design. You can do a fancy quilting design if you want, if you got, your quilting foot set up and you like to do, wiggle around. Just stitch in the ditch. Seriously, just stitching in the ditch is putting your needle right where the seam is, right smack dab in that indentation. And you can do it just the 6-inch square, just the outsides of them, or you can do it every single place there is the same, just to make it kind of more textured. You will need, in addition to the 3 colors of fabric in 2.5 by 44, 45 inch strips, a backing fabric, 1 piece, and it will need to be for 23 by 30, 1 yard. A 1 yard piece will do it. Now you can buy the binding separate, because what you do and we're going to get all into this. But those of you who quilt understand and know what I'm talking about. You put the batting in, you put the backing on, and then you do the binding around it to finish it off. You can do it with pre-made seam binding, or you can make your own seam binding. And since you're getting a little bit of extra material in the getting 6 strips of 2.5 inches each for each color, you may have enough. And I haven't actually finished on this one to see how much is going to be extra left over, or you can make your binding out of that material. And I think that looks really cool. Like for this one, what I would have done is taken the purple and made big long strips of the purple to make a double fold binding and have that go around the edge. And that way the purple would be on the solid color on the back. Now, when I made this quilt before, the very first one I ever made, it was the size of a almost queen size bed. I started out with trying to get it to be like a twin or double, and it ended up being huge, which happens. My daughter's quilt's the same way, ended up being a lot bigger than I expected, like about 12 inches bigger all the way around. It's nuts, but she'll love it. When you do that, you can either leave the backing just plain, or you can get real crazy creative. Make one side this color, make the other side another color, like make 2 of these, and then put binding around it. And so that way, if they get tired of one side, they can flip it over and do the other side. That's the reversible me coming out again. I'm so sorry, but I like things with multiple purposes, you know. It's like, why get one hat when you can turn it inside out, and then it's like you bought 2, but you didn't spend any more money. So that's why I have the glamour bonnets that are reversible. And one can be just kind of like blah, you know, for at home. The other one's like snazzy when you go outside. Yeah, I didn't care too much for some of the ones I saw out in public. But my suggestion is to keep yourself organized. Sorry about the mic. I have a dry scalp in the winter. But anyway, get yourself, this is kind of small. But if you're only doing one of these, this is perfect. Get 3 bins, depending on how much of an organizational nut you are, because I am. And so I have one bin that has, once I have all the strips cut of all 3 colors, I throw them in here. Then I'll have, since I'm doing more than one at a time, I have a bin that has just the center squares, the 6.5 inch squares. That's in a bin. Then I have another bin that these go in. So this is like strips, components, center square. And then I get like a little assembly line for myself. And that's how I manage them. I am in the process of moving my creative chaos behind me. It is going to be in a huge space in our basement. I'm going to have to figure out the heating issue and, you know, the electrical, but it's all good. I'm used to having enough room to make sure I have assembly line space. And my one office is not big enough. And even this dining room area is not big enough because I'd always had a larger space. Things to consider when you take on a task. And if you don't remember how it used to be, and then you realize, oh, my room was never this messy. Yeah, you end up trying to figure out ways of making it work. But when you have a big basement and it needs to be organized, it's a good excuse. And it's also a good point to throw your husband's way. It's like, hey, honey, I want to organize the house. Can I take over half the basement and take that under my wing and make that organized? And are they going to argue with you? No, they're not going to argue. You want to organize the basement? Hey, go for it. What do you need? He did ask me that. Actually, no, he didn't ask me. I went up to him and I said, hon, I said, I want to get all my Christmas craft things that took over our dining room, and I want to organize it, and I need that side of the basement that you don't use for it. And I'll help you figure out how to make that storage space behind the movie room too. And he was really cool. I said, I have a door. I got tables and I want to put down a floor. So when I sweep up the thread, so he doesn't scream and holler about thread all over the concrete floor. So you get creative. That's what you got to be when you're doing this stuff. So on the NSF quilt, Lap Quilt Quest Blessing Challenge. It's got a lot of names right now. Now is the time. Get on board. You all have got a creative side in you. I know you do. You just got to discover it. And it may not be putting these together. It may be just matching colors. Now, when you do not have any fabric, you don't want to go buying any, but you want to be a part of it. Guess what? I got that covered too. I have put together, let's see if I still have the one here. I surely do. I have put together NSF kits. The only thing that's not in the NSF kit is a sewing machine and the thread and the needle. The fabric's there, and I will put in the pattern in there for you, but I need to know where to send it. And if you decide to give it to someone in your area, in your neighborhood, or just want to give it to someone, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're a senior or not. We're just spreading the love, right? We're spreading joy. We're, showing people that there's things more important than being angry at one another, being upset because this person has this and I don't have it and I want it. That's one of those bad things. It's called envy. It's called greed. If we had less of that, we'd have more people, really making a difference. But we're going to do it together, aren't we? Between myself and all of you wonderful folks out there who's watching, and they're like, yeah, that's a really good idea. It doesn't take a lot of time. I have kits, and I have all different colors. This one is a combination. The young lady, I want you all to think like a 15-year-old. This kit here, this is for a young lady who is 15, who was in a very, very bad car accident last year in October. And she can't do much. And she's not, she can't lift stuff and she can't do this and that. But she told her mom she wanted to learn how to sew. Yeah, she did. And my heart just beats really hard when I hear someone wants to learn how to sew. So she is a brand new baby beginner, I call her. She's only a baby anyway, and she's never sewn before. But I think she's kind of worked with a sewing machine, at least sewing straight lines and whatnot. And this is perfect for her. So I had listed a sewing machine table that didn't have a machine in it that I wasn't using, and her mama bought it for her. So when I delivered the table, I told her about the NSF, the No Seniors Forgotten Lab Quilt Quest Challenge, Blessings Challenge. And I said, just ask your daughter if something she would like to do, something creative, something instant, and she's learning at the same time because she wants to learn how to sew. And sometimes learning how to do a small quilt like that just gets your juices flowing. You're like, okay, now I want to make clothes. Oh, I want to make pillows, right? All those kind of things. Pillows, it's another one. That's a beginner's item. So simple. And they can be done in so many different ways. We're going to do pillows soon. Spring comes, everyone wants to do, spruce up their house. So the kits that I have are I have greens, different shades of green, blues. I have a salmon pink. And amazingly, I have other prints that match it that go really well. And then I have to get purple. I have to be honest. I'm like depleted of purple. And then I have blues, greens, yellow, pinks, which is the rose and salmon kind of family. And then for the gentlemen, because I know typically quilts tend to have the girly kind of prints, little flowers and that. I got that covered. Wait, just a second. I should have brought it over. Watch this. I found this fabric just by being nosy on the internet, and I want one for myself. I grew up in the 70s. I was in high school in the 70s. Love muscle cars. My kids think I'm weird because I'm a girl and I like muscle cars. Too bad. So for the gentlemen in the nursing homes, I have to find some John Deere fabric. If anybody out there has John Deere cotton fabric that they're not using, me, I want it. I'm in the South. I like John Deere. I found this. It has old antique, I got goosebumps. It's got the old gas pumps on it and the old cars. Look at this crate. Isn't that great? Look at this. Now, see, an older man can appreciate this, especially a senior who might have had that car when he was a young man. These are the old cars. And then the same lady who had this. Now, see, I didn't see that fabric, but she sent it to me. Another blessing I did not expect. There are these old trucks, these old delivery trucks. Yeah, I know they're Christmas trucks, but they're old trucks. It doesn't matter. And there's a Dalmatian dog on there and everything. So I could literally, I can mix this with dogs. That's the great thing. Like, you can have this. This has cars and gas pumps. This is trucks and Dalmatian dogs on it, and it has the word believe. Yeah, it says happy holidays, but whatever. I mean, it's not about that. I mean, you can make it so, when you're cutting it out. The thing with that, you want to try when you're making your strips to kind of so they can actually see what it is. This one here, because the cars are long and thin, the long strips for this, it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy to have these cars show up in this quilt. I'm like dying to get this one started. But think about that as well. They're not just ladies in nursing homes. There are men in nursing homes, care homes, or whatever. And I have mentioned before, my mother-in-law, before she passed away, she was always cold. She had medicine that thinned her blood, and she just wanted to be kept warm. And one of the ladies who's helping me, and you guys, as soon as you get in touch with me with this challenge, is a nurse. And she said exactly what I already knew, because see, my mother-in-law, she was a RN for over 43 years before she passed away. And this beautiful woman who is jumping on the wagon with us and doing a lap quilt is a nurse in a hospital. So she's got a busy schedule. God bless you, girl. Oh, yeah, how you warm my heart. A nurse. I lost a nurse and gained a nurse. And this nurse is going to help me pass on the love. So the main thing about that, what sticks out is this is a woman in the field who works with people, and she's worked with seniors. And she said, what I'm saying is the truth. She said, you're right. She says, I've seen too many of them, and they do all say the same thing, that there's, they're always cold, or they're feeling cold, or all they want to be is, they just want to be warm. Let's give them a quilt, even if it's just to cover up their lap. But if you think about it, 23 by 33, this is, I think this is 18 by 24. Okay. So it's this. Well, actually, that will be the side, right? And then it's 33 inches. That is more than enough for the lap, I mean, it could be, if they're real warm cold, they could actually double it if they wanted to, if they just wanted the lap part to be kept warm. That's not too much to ask, is it? I mean, you guys have gloves and things when it's cold out, right? These people are stuck inside, can't go anywhere, and they're still cold. It's not fair. You know, we take for granted a lot of things. um, Food on the table sometimes, and you know, you think your car's going to run forever, and then one day, done. You know, you got to get a new transmission. It happened to my husband, unfortunately, but it was not a brand new car that the transmission went in. It was a used car. But there's so much, if you sit and think about it, how would you feel? My feet get cold when I'm trying to sleep, and I can't sleep when my feet are cold at all. I have to get up and throw like 2 pairs of socks on just to get my feet to warm up sometimes. If I didn't have those extra socks, I'd have to deal with the cold feet. And there's, you know, of course, I have a husband that can help me out with stuff like that. You know, he can make sure that I have enough socks and this. But these are folks that are, most of the time, they're alone. They have to depend on the nurses, and they're just strung, you know, from one end to the other, especially with this COVID-19 stuff. And you know, there's going to be quite a few folks that aren't going to be getting to be warm when they need to be. But if you all help do this one little thing, and I don't care, like I said, there is, if there's any, you know what makes a good lap quilt is old clothes. You got some clothes you're going to give to the Goodwill, or you're going to just put in the trash bin. If it's cotton, pack it up, get a hold of me, and we'll make a quilt out of it, a lap quilt out of it. And as a matter of fact, sometimes if you do that with old clothes that were yours when you were a kid, and you're giving it to your mom who's in a nursing home, or giving it to your grandmother who's in a nursing home, do you know what they're going to do with that lap quilt? They're going to sit there. This is what they do. Just this is what one of my relatives did. It's like, oh, I remembered that dress. I gave you that on your 7th birthday, and that's what you wore to your first dance in junior high. It's a memory quilt. It ends up being a memory quilt, and they love remembering because it brings joy to their heart, brings joy to their day, makes them smile. And isn't that worth it? You might not be there to see it, but I guarantee you, the nurses that work with them, that come in and check on them, give them their medications and that, the next time you come to visit, and you better come and visit them, doggone it, that's another pet peeve, but the next time you come to visit, that attendant, that nurse, that orderly or whatever, is going to come up and he's like, you know that quilt, that lap quilt that you gave your grandmother? She can't stop talking about it. She says, this was so-and-so's shirt, and that was so-and-so's pants. And in that case, it doesn't matter what the fabric is. It's just something to keep them warm and something to bring them happiness and memories about when your kids were kids. They're some of the best ones, especially if it's our grandkids. And I wish I could have given my grandmother one, but, you know, I was all the way over 800 miles away down in Georgia, and she was all the way up in Pennsylvania, and I got to see her once a year at Christmas, and that was good. You know, at least I got to see her until she passed. So this is actually, and I haven't mentioned this before, this has always been something I've wanted to do, but I never thought about how much it would mean to someone until my mother-in-law came along. This is for you, Edie. I miss you. So whatever you want to do, if you're not sure how to get involved, want to, you can just do a comment that says, what can I do? Make it short and sweet. I'm in. And if you need something, then just say what you need. You need a lap quilt kit. Say, kit, please. Just say kit, please. You need a kit. If you do kit, please, you can put a color. And if I don't have the color, I'll go get it. Like purple. I don't have purple right now. I don't have a lot of yellow print fabrics either, which I need to because the yellow goes with the green really well. And purple and yellow goes good. Purple and green goes good. And the blues, I got tons of blues. Pink. And the salmon was just an odd one. But this is in memory of Edie Walter. She was a nurse and she took care of a lot of people. Now it's time for us to give back. Help me give back. Show some love that you know you got in there and you just don't know where to put it. And the really icing on the cake would be if you want to donate to my area. You don't know anyone in a nursing home or whatever in your area. That would benefit from it. It would be great if people were doing this in every state, all over the place, in their own neighborhoods, in their own cities and everything. And all of a sudden, everybody's like happy and loving one another. God, we can only dream. The big dream, but. Or if you have someone specific, you don't have an embroidery machine, and you don't want to send it to the one that you've made to me, I will tell you how to send me a snapshot directly to me personally of the colors that are on it, and I will make you that center square for your cross. You just tell me what you want on it, okay? Does that sound like a good idea or what? I love using that machine. I'm learning how to do all kinds of cool stuff on it. It does a lot of things I didn't know it could do. I have a lot of what you call it, spiritual, religious kind of embroidery designs in it now that I got online. So it has a USB, so I can do that. And if there's something that you specifically you want on there, something that means something specific to that person that okay, this is where you have someone specifically in mind, grandma, grandpa, whatever. Let me know what it is. I will put it on there for you. You have to remember one thing. What makes a quilt valuable? What makes a quilt valuable is the person giving it or making it. Usually the person making is the one giving it, but in this case, it may not be that you sign and date it on the back. Because you don't know how many generations might have that. Because when that person is now gone, it's left to someone in the family is going to want it, right? And they're going to have it for how many years? And they might give it to their kids just before they are leaving us. So you don't know how many decades that's going to pass down through the generations. And wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to pass on? I think so. I had made my mother-in-law a hand-crocheted Afghan because of her being so cold, and it was something she could put on her bed, and she specifically requested it when she had to go from her home to a home care when she injured herself, and it was with her up until the day she passed. It's now back in my arms. And I'm going to be giving it to one of my kids because it should be theirs, especially my granddaughter. I mean, my daughter, I don't have a granddaughter yet. I do have a son who just got engaged, by the way. It's January 1st. Wedding's coming up. I'll keep you posted. But kits, you can do a motif. One of these, and I will bind it and put a backing on it. Or you can do just one square. Or if you only want to do the part that makes the cross up, you can do that. That's an excellent idea because then I get to figure out what to put around it. You can send me photos of what you're making, which I would love. Please do comment. Please subscribe. Keep this going. I want to see something good go viral. So good that everybody's going, what's going on? What's with that? Why is everybody over in that neighborhood smiling all the time? Do you know what's going on over there? Wouldn't that be great? It's happened. Not lately, but that's where we come in. Make a difference. Everybody complains about, well, this person didn't do that, and that's why we're in this mess, and that. But you know what? What did you do to help make it better? Anything? Don't you think it's about time? It's past time for me. That's why I finally have the equipment to do it. And it's a few hours, maybe. This whole process for one of these, maybe a couple of days. I mean, in between making meals and cleaning, that's what. But it doesn't take that much time, and it's worth it. It's worth it more than you are going to ever imagine. When I did the December blessings contest, I had no clue how amazing that was going to be. The stories I read and heard and told you about, I still have that list, and I'll throw them in here every once in a while, because people don't believe in angels. They exist. People don't believe in miracles. They exist. And Jesus isn't back yet, is he? But he's still doing his work. So why not be a part of something fabulously awesome and unexplainably great that just shows love is more powerful than anything else in the world? It is. Here's something you can try, and then I'll let you go. So you can let me know which kit you want and what you're gonna send, what you want to do. If you go into the Bible, and every time you see the word love, say Jesus instead. Just read the sentence out and say Jesus out loud, and it fits. And you can do it vice versa. If you see a sentence that says the word Jesus, say love instead when you read it out loud, and it fits, because he is love. And this is his love from you, from me, and anybody else who puts their hands in and says, yes, Lord, it's worth it. It's priceless. This is joy. This is passion. And you know what? It's also just sowing